It's Thursday, February 12th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Some tense moments as a commercial flight skids off a Halifax runway. A top healthcare official warns New Brunswick hospitals are past the crisis point.
A sunny day Friday for most of the Maritimes, with some clouds and flurries returning on the weekend.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Well, it was not the arrival Porter passengers from Toronto were anticipating in Halifax last night. Their aircraft slid off the tarmac after landing in wintry weather. It provided some tense moments and impacted operations at the airport. CTV's Hafsa Arif reports.
Thank you.
What was supposed to be a routine arrival turned into an unusual sight on the airfield, a plane stuck in the snow at the end of a runway.
Our 24/7 emergency response team attended to the aircraft. It was determined that the aircraft couldn't make its way back to the terminal on its own.
As of late this afternoon, the plane was still sitting on the runway.
We arranged for buses to deplane the passengers and bus those passengers back to the terminal building. Following this aircraft incident, we did have to briefly close both runways just to make an assessment, but one of our runways was able to reopen quite quickly.
Porter confirmed in a statement there were no reported injuries and passengers were transported by bus to the terminal in cooperation with the airport authority. There were 59 passengers and 5 crew members on board at the time. The second runway remained closed until Porter tows the aircraft, which it had planned to do by the end of the day. Airport officials say the brief shutdown did not trigger widespread cancellations, but the weather certainly did.
There was a flight cancellation at Frankfurt. They weren't able to find any flights yesterday, so they rebooked me for today morning flight. And again, because of the weather conditions, my morning flight got delayed.
Even today, boards are dotted with delays, all due to weather disruptions across North America.
Annoyed, right? But it's okay. Right, it is what it is, right? The weather and stuff like the Mother Nature, we can't control it, right? So some stuff that we had to accept.
The Transportation Safety Board says it's collecting information and is assessing what happened. Porter is also doing its own investigation into the cause.
The airport authority says they have 2 runways, but typically only one is in use at a time. So if one closes, it doesn't necessarily lead to delays or cancellations. Todd?
CTV's Hafsa Arif starting us off at Halifax Stanfield International Airport. Today, it was Cape Breton's turn to hunker down, then dig out. The latest winter storm hit the island, forcing closures, cancellations, and a rather challenging cleanup. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald in Sydney.
A third snowstorm in as many weeks left Sydney and surrounding communities looking a bit like a winter wonderland. But for Rob Zawarin, who has mobility issues, the aftermath of all this snow isn't so pretty.
Sometimes it gets so blocked I can't even go on the sidewalks. I have to go on the side of the streets, which is equally dangerous.
Today, with the sidewalks near his Argyle Street apartment snow-covered, he wasn't going anywhere. While he thinks the city is generally doing a good job getting rid of all this snow the past month, he says it often takes at least a day before the sidewalks he needs to use are cleared.
They probably could be a little quicker about it, and certainly in the busier streets like mine is.
Sidewalk clearing follows the usual pattern of near schools and heavy traffic areas.
The CBRM feels that overall, road and sidewalk clearing has gone pretty well given the back-to-back-to-back storms, adding there have been a couple of significant overnight snow removal operations in the past week.
For a couple of nights in a row on the last storm, we had to go out with the heavy equipment overnight to remove large amounts of snow from the downtown area, which is paying off now because we were able to handle this one much better.
Meteorologist Kayla Mitchell says a good portion of the Maritime saw between 10 and 20 centimeters from this latest storm. He says the Halifax and Sydney areas got about 20 each, with some places, especially northern parts of Pictou and Antigonish counties, getting 30 centimeters.
Too much snow. Can't deal with it anymore.
By 11 a.m., CBRM transit buses were back on the road. By mid-afternoon, main roads and some side streets were pretty much clear. While some people started their day walking on the shoulder of the road where there were no sidewalks, a number of them seemed to be taking it in stride.
Takes the city sometimes to do the side streets, but, you know, they're doing their job. They're getting it done.
And Todd, perhaps one positive mentioned to me by Christina Lamy of the city is that so far this has been a pretty fast melt today. And sure enough, the parking lot we're standing in here at the Joan Harris Cruise Pavilion, the Big Fiddle in Sydney, is bare. So too are a lot of roads. Now, overnight parking bans are in place for tonight here in CBRM, in Halifax, and in parts of St. John. One more thing, Todd, and I've been saying this since the start of the day, is that for those who had a snow day today, there were worse ways to spend it than watching Sydney, Nathan, and Brad take the ice for Canada in the first game at the Olympics. No spoilers, though. I won't mention the score in case anybody was at work and taped the game for later.
All right. Brian McDonald in Sydney, always with the silver lining. Thank you, Brian.
Silver lining.
Well, some of the folks who weren't watching the hockey game may have ended up at ski hills around the region, like Wentworth, where there is beautiful conditions right now, as you can see, and a pretty good crowd for night skiing. Let's bring in Kayla Mitchell. 1 degree there in central Nova Scotia. You've got snow totals for folks, and a lot of places got it. There were a couple of jackpots in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, there sure were. So let's take a look at this snowfall report map in behind me. This is just a selection of reported sites from around the Maritime region. Let's begin up in Cape Breton, where Ryan was. So this report for the Sydney area came in from this morning, 17 centimeters. But at the time, snow was still falling and accumulating. So I do expect that around the Sydney area, they probably finished maybe a little bit above the 20-centimeter mark. The bullseye for some of the snow, that was up around the North Shore, areas like New Glasgow and extending towards Antigonish, picking up closer towards 30 centimeters of snow. That looks like where that band of heavier snow that wrapped its way in off the Atlantic that we were tracking yesterday on radar paused out, maybe beginning around Hammonds Plains in Halifax County, because Hammonds Plains had one report there of 30 centimeters of snow that you can see close to the city center, Halifax and Dartmouth. It was a little bit lower, kind of 12 to 16 centimeters, but that band may have stalled out, basically beginning around Hammonds Plains and extending right up towards parts of Pictou and Antigonish counties. Prince Edward Island picked up around several centimeters of snow for most communities. There were parts of the south of New Brunswick that picked up between 10 and 20 centimeters of snow. Report from St. John, 24 centimeters there. In Fredericton area, up to around 15 centimeters of snow. 7 centimeters at Edmundston and Doyleville in the north of New Brunswick. 14 at Miramichi. That overperformed my expectations for that community a little bit there. And Moncton at 7 centimeters. Now, there is still some snow coming down for parts of the Maritimes this evening and tonight. It's mostly in the form of some flurries now. It's off the Gulf of St. Lawrence and a cold northerly wind, but there is a risk of some snow squalls, especially up into the Cape Breton Highlands. Additional snowfall amounts for that part of the Maritimes. In most cases, maybe another 1 to 5 centimeters of snow. More up in the Highlands. You can see that little bullseye of darker blues and then pinks showing up there. And we do still have some snowfall warnings in effect, including around the North Shore of Nova Scotia and in Inverness and Victoria counties in Cape Breton. One thing, Todd, that I did hear today, and Ryan even mentioned it, was that there was a lot of melt of that snow during the day. We didn't really have bitterly cold temperatures that followed up in behind this weather system, and we're moving towards the spring equinox, which means day by day, the sun angle, the average sun angle where we catch that sunlight throughout the day, is steeper and steeper. So more of that is coming in, even with some cloud cover around, and it helps with that snow melt.
And not a moment too soon. All right, thanks. We'll see you later for the full forecast. We got a rather startling admission today from New Brunswick's top health CEO. She told reporters she warns the government every chance she gets that the province's hospitals are past the crisis point. And if nothing's done, they'll soon become nursing homes. CTV's Laura Brown has more.
Participate within primary care.
Inside this committee hearing, Horizon Health CEO Margaret Melanson was asked by MLAs about primary care, physician recruitment, and mental health supports, all important issues facing New Brunswick healthcare. And the top administrator said she can see improvements on all of them. But afterward, when reporters asked about ongoing concerns with hospital overcrowding, Melanson didn't hold back.
We're moving toward having regional nursing homes as opposed to regional acute care hospitals. And that, to me, is extremely concerning and should be concerning to the population of New Brunswick.
She said 40% of Horizon Hospital beds are occupied by ALC patients, mostly seniors waiting for a long-term care bed. She pulls that number out when speaking to fellow health administrators across the country. And she claims They're all flabbergasted.
It is past a crisis point. It absolutely needs to be addressed.
Melanson has been repeating these same concerns for years now. Today, frustrated, clearly, that it's only worsened, pointing to no new nursing homes being built and a need for more home care, to which a government MLA said they're working on it.
There are challenges within the hospital systems, and the Department of Health and the government is coming up with strategies to try to deal with bed space.
If something isn't done soon, Melanson warns, hospitals won't be able to perform the kind of care they're built for.
We will have surgical interruptions because we will not have any other places to place patients.
And Todd, another issue, 200 of these patients who are waiting in hospital haven't even been assessed yet by a social worker to determine what level of long-term care they need. The backlog's so long, Melanson says the authority has officially been handed over to healthcare staff to do these assessments. Todd.
CTV's Laura Brown at the legislature in Fredericton this evening. Online, police in Nova Scotia are investigating a hate-motivated incident directed at a youth refereeing a hockey game. You can read more about this now at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Nova Scotia's finance minister didn't say much today when asked about the province's record $1.4 billion deficit and the recent credit rating downgrade. John Laura revealed a new budget will be tabled in a couple of weeks, but didn't say much else about the province's financial situation beyond that. The government did confirm 63 public sector layoffs occurred last year, but it's not clear what kind of impact the new budget will have on jobs and programs. Laura wouldn't offer specifics other than to say the government will continue to fund necessary services.
I would say that we are continuing to invest record amounts in health care and in housing and affordability for Nova Scotians. I would say we're addressing what I would call deferred maintenance that just wasn't done in those areas. We know that we're doing what Nova Scotians need.
Despite the credit rating downgrade and record deficit, Laura remains optimistic about the province's financial prospects, insisting there are big opportunities in energy development and in national defense. Maritimers are being urged by Global Affairs Canada to avoid unnecessary travel to Cuba as that country struggles with shortages. Now here at home, people with close connections are worried Cubans will suffer without support from visitors. Here's CTV's Vanessa Wright.
No one is going to Cuba. Still, Simone Feller fills suitcases with essential supplies for people in Caribbean countries. Normally, she and tourists would take them on vacation and hand items out to the people in need.
I would say here in Nova Scotia, I send probably 99.5% of my suitcases to Cuba.
But without flights, supplies are stuck in this Halifax storage unit.
It's very troubling. I think, our organization, it's a very low-cost, high-impact way of delivering essential medical supplies directly to the place they're needed. So to have that pipeline cut off, I think it really has a real impact on the ground in Cuba.
The latest warning came from Global Affairs Canada, urging travelers to postpone non-essential travel there. Airlines have already canceled flights. This is just one maritime nonprofit forced to pivot until the situation changes, which may not be for some time as the U.S. blocks shipments of fuel from Venezuela to Cuba.
The U.S. has not been listening to the Cubans, has not been prepared to negotiate. It's up to the Americans to see if they want to come to the table.
A painful stall for Canadian travelers and Cubans who depend on life-saving aid from Canada.
We're going to see a major humanitarian crisis in Cuba. Tourism is one of the main sources of the economy, and we represent the single largest contingent, 40% of tourism. To take that away out of the equation means that there are major problems.
The disruptions may have put a pause on sending supplies out, but donations are still coming in.
I accept supplies all year long, and those supplies will just build up until we can send them over again.
The hope it will make it on a plane to those in need instead of here where it's of no use. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
We want to ask you this. Based on the story, should the federal government be prepared to offer aid to the people of Cuba? The options are yes, it's the right thing to do, or no, we should stay out of it. And you can vote at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. The Jansen Baker double murder trial is moving along quicker than expected. The Moncton courtroom heard some grim testimony from a forensic pathologist today. CTV's Derek Haggett has the latest and a warning. Some viewers may find the details disturbing.
A pathologist who performed the autopsies on Bernard and Rosemarie Saulnier testified today in the Jansen Baker double murder trial as the Crown's case nears a conclusion. Baker has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 78-year-old Bernard Saulnier and his wife, 74-year-old Rosemarie Saulnier. The Saulniers were both shot in the head and killed inside their Dieppe home during the early morning hours of September 7, 2019. Dr. Ken Obenson, who has performed over 3,000 autopsies in his career, gave specific details about the couple's autopsies. The expert witness pointed to his eye to show the jury where the fatal entry wound was on Bernard's body. When asked by the Crown how long the estimated time of death might have been, the witness said, fairly quick. When describing Rosemarie's fatal injury, Obenson once again showed the jury where the entrance wound was by pointing to an area just in front of his right ear. A gunshot wound to the head, he said. Homicide, he said. He again said the victim would have died fairly quickly. Baker, wearing a navy jacket and tie, took notes during Obenson's testimony. The forensic pathologist was the Crown's last witness, and the 14-person jury was excused until Tuesday, when the defense is expected to begin its case. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
For the time being, Nova Scotia will not follow the lead of New Brunswick and the government, which announced it is abandoning the social media platform X. Nova Scotia's deputy premier stopped short of saying whether the government would leave it or not, suggesting it still relies on X to share information, especially emergency messaging. The NDP is leaving the platform by the end of the week, citing disturbing content, while the Liberals already have.
There is no real reason to be on that platform, as we, as someone raised earlier, during the Mass Casualty Commission, we saw that if we want to effectively and quickly communicate with Nova Scotians, that isn't the right platform to be on.
We stopped using it. So the Liberal caucus doesn't use it. I don't use it for a number of reasons. Obviously, like the violence that you see on it, and some of the stuff is pretty upsetting.
The Houston government says it does use a number of social media channels to get messaging such as emergency alerts out, which is the main reason right now for staying on X. A first-of-its-kind assessment of what climate change may look like in New Brunswick is projecting a dramatic shift in the 4 seasons that we've become pretty accustomed to, noting that some of those effects are already underway. CTV's Nick Moore is in Fredericton with the details. Hi there, Nick.
Well, good evening, Todd. The new report out today for the first time presents the provincial risk assessment looking at climate change with future projections which vary by region. According to the report, coastal areas will see rising seas and erosion, inland regions will become more prone to flooding, urban areas will see greater strain from extreme heat, and forested areas will become more sensitive to wildfires. The risk report says the province's wildfire season will go from 206 days to 233 days by the 2050s and 243 days by the 2080s. By the turn of the century, relative sea levels could rise by over a meter. There could be a substantial lengthening of the frost-free season by up to 71 days, and there could be a doubling or even tripling in some areas of the number of hot days above 30 degrees Celsius. The assessment and projections were gathered by the Department of Environment and Local Government in partnership with the Climate Risk Institute. The province says it will be developing climate change mitigation plans from this information. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
We will take our first break of this Thursday evening. Wishful thinking Friday, right? We have flurries with a risk of snow squalls for a few spots tonight. Kayla Mitchell returns with the details. But next, we go to PEI, where the new premier swore in a new cabinet.
I really want everyone to know their files, be strong on their files, make decisions, and deliver results.
Rob Lance lays out a new agenda just days after winning his party's leadership. That's next.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Prince Edward Island's one-time interim premier Rob Lance is now full-time in the island's top job after winning his party's leadership on the weekend. Today, he swore in his government's new cabinet, and CTV's Maria Saru was there.
Claps around the room. 3. And cameras flash as PEI Premier Rob Lance's cabinet is sworn in, with familiar names in new roles and one fresh face at the table.
I've got renewed expectations of cabinet. I really want everyone to know their files, be strong on their files, make decisions, and deliver results.
Sidney McEwen, who had been serving as Speaker, celebrated with his family. He's now the Minister of Housing and Communities, as well as the Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure and Energy. McEwen weighed in on his top priority.
I think it's pretty obvious is the energy cables that we need to New Brunswick. I know Premier Lance was speaking with the Prime Minister just yesterday on it.
Corey Deagle, formerly on housing, will act on the health and wellness file, while Minister Mark McLean deals with a personal health issue.
Reducing wait times, access to primary care. Islanders, I think, want results and they want action, and that's what my goal is going to be.
Gilles Arsenault and Darlene Compton are swapping portfolios. Arsenault moves to economic development, and Compton takes on the environment. Finance Minister Jill Burridge remains in her role, as does Education Minister Robin Croucher, while Zach Bell moves into workforce and advanced learning after Jen Redmond resigned. Lance said he's considering putting in place a mechanism to hold ministers accountable for delivering results on their respective files, but what that could look like is still unclear. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Still to come in your show tonight, a cold start for tomorrow, but plenty of sunshine through the day Friday. Kaylin Mitchell has the details of the full maritime forecast right after this. Look at the lineup. That's not for hot chocolate. That's for the, that's for the lift.
We'll be later.
Yeah, as night skiing gets going in Brookvale. Well, it's a great night to be outside, -2. We had Wentworth earlier. We had Cape Smoky the night before, so it's only fair that we have Brookvale on the island. We really need a camera at Poley and maybe Sugarloaf.
Well,
be nice to get those in as well. But what a night there.
We'll work on that for next winter.
Look at the skiers on the island. Fantastic.
Temperature's perfect, sitting around -2 right now. There were many parts of Prince Edward Island that picked up several centimeters of fresh snow. Didn't get any reports directly from that southeastern corner of Prince Edward Island. I'm thinking around like Woods Island or Murray Harbor. So I'm not sure if that band of heavy snow that kind of crossed eastern Nova Scotia made it all the way across the Northumberland Strait and got into that part of PEI there. If it did, there certainly could have been some higher amounts locally right through that particular part of the island. Let's take a look at weather conditions quickly across the country, then we'll get back to our forecast here in the Maritimes. It's mild right now out across the west for this time of the year. 8 degrees Vancouver and Victoria. Nothing too unusual about that, but certainly very mild as you get into the prairies. So Calgary right now sitting at 9 degrees. It is 4 at Edmonton. Fort McMurray sitting at 5 degrees, Saskatoon sitting at 2, Regina sitting at 5 degrees. You can see that colder air, that bitterly cold air in the north isn't all that far away. Fort McMurray sitting at +5, yes, but Yellowknife -23 and reporting some snow. Thompson in north of Manitoba sitting at -6, -2 at Winnipeg, moving off towards the east, chilly through southern Ontario, moving up to southern Quebec, where Montreal sitting at -6 at this hour. Up in Labrador, it's -16 at Labrador City, but 0 at Happy Valley Goose Bay and 0 at St. John's. And then here in the Maritimes, we've got -1 at Fredericton this hour, -2 at Charlottetown and at Halifax. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation. In a northerly wind off the Gulf of St. Lawrence, there's still some flurries coming into parts of the east of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and around the north and east of Nova Scotia. Additional snowfall amounts for most areas will likely be restricted to the range of around 1 to 5 centimeters, but more is expected up in the higher terrain of Cape Breton, up into the highlands. There could be some additional snowfall amounts there of maybe 15+ centimeters as we make our way through the night. Now, even there, that should wind down by the start of the day for tomorrow. And for Friday, with high pressure in place, we're expecting very sunny conditions across New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and mainland Nova Scotia. For Cape Breton tomorrow, more of a mix of sun and cloud. The wind's still at the northwest, so that's still off the Gulf. It is going to carry still some cloud cover off the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and maybe with a lower chance of flurries throughout the day, 30 or 40% chance. Now, I mentioned the winds. They will remain out of the northwest for tonight. They'll be noticeable, so they diminish a little bit, but if you're out there tonight, wind chill's still going to be a little bit of a factor around the Maritime region. And for tomorrow, winds remain breezy out of the northwest as well, with some fairly widespread gusts between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight. Many areas of New Brunswick tonight can expect lows to fall into a range around -10 to -14, but feeling closer to -20 with the wind chill. -9 for Moncton, -8 for Grand Manan. Near -9 for Summerside and Charlottetown for tonight. And in Nova Scotia, most of the low temperatures will be in the range around -4 to -9. -9 there at Amherst, -4 at Sydney, -5 at Halifax and at Yarmouth. In the north of New Brunswick for tomorrow, high temperatures between -2 and -6. It's sunshine in the forecast and a very bright and sunny day through central and southern areas of New Brunswick with high temperatures between -3 and 0. For Prince Edward Island tomorrow, the high temperatures will be around -3, -4 for most communities. Sunny, northwest winds 20 gusting to 40 kilometers per hour. In Cape Breton, mix of sun and cloud, low chance of flurries, and high temperatures between -3 and -6. For the North Shore, highs around -4, -3 on the eastern shore. Northern and central parts of the province with high temperatures tomorrow between -2 and 0. If you're in the Annapolis Valley, it'll be a sunny day. In the afternoon, high temperatures near -2. And on the south shore of Nova Scotia, sunshine with high temperatures between -2 and 0. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast for New Brunswick. Coming up on Saturday, some flurries, some light snow is expected to arrive late in the day, ongoing into Saturday night. A few more flurries in the forecast for Sunday, then a mix of sun and cloud on Monday. A chance of flurries on Tuesday of next week. Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud. Snow possible on Thursday. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, it's sunshine coming up for the start of the weekend on Saturday, though some areas of snow and flurries will return on Sunday. After that, a mix of sun and cloud for Monday, a chance of flurries on Tuesday of next week, a mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday, and snow possible on Thursday. For Prince Edward Island, for the start of the weekend, sunshine for Saturday. High temperatures around -3. Flurries in the forecast for Sunday with a high of around -1. Isolated flurries on Monday with a high of around -2. And then a chance of flurries on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week with snow possible on Thursday. Todd.
All right, we'll see you at the end of the show. Next, we'll speak with emergency room physician Dr. Trevor Jane in Charlottetown. Then a film festival celebrates a milestone on the scene.
Hi there, I'm Shanice Lord, an actress and filmmaker residing here in Halifax. I'm so excited to tell you more about my film, Crowns, which will be premiering at Halifax Black Film Festival. And I want you to stay tuned so I can tell you more about it.
Welcome back. Earlier in the show, we heard about the hearings of the state of healthcare in New Brunswick. So we thought we'd connect with somebody who's in the middle of the medical system in our region. Dr. Trevor Jane is an emergency room physician. He is at the QEH in Charlottetown. Always good to see you.
Great to see you too, Todd. Thanks for having me.
So we heard from CEO of a health authority in New Brunswick say hospitals are beyond the crisis point in that province. Looking nationally, looking at PEI, how do you see the landscape?
So I agree, and this is no shock to anybody that works in healthcare, right? PEI is not immune to any of the national pressures that we have, and we see it from coast to coast to coast. I mean, look, we have a lot of long-term care in our hospitals. You know, everybody talks about ED overcrowding and ED wait times, but it actually has nothing to do with the ED waiting with the emergency department. It's a system flow, it's a systemic issue, and we just happen to be the face of what's going on in the system strain.
The wait list, primary care wait list, about what, 30,000 on the island, about 66,000 in Nova Scotia. New Brunswick came out with a number well over 200,000. Are you feeling that at your hospital? You feel that strain?
Yeah, I mean, we just like, you know, every emergency department, we do know that patients that have regular access to primary care, their chronic diseases are managed better. They have less visits to the emergency department, and they're healthier. But, you know, Canadians sometimes don't have any other place to go. And when our lights are on and we're open for business to access some care, they come to our hospitals and they attend emergency departments coast to coast to coast.
Our governments, media, and organizations, are we too focused on that wait list number? Every time the number moves one way or another, we're quick to jump on it.
Yeah, I think we are. Like, we're focused on the primary care wait list, which we should have some situational awareness about for sure. We're also over-focused on ED wait times and overcrowding, and we're painting it as an emergency department issue or a primary care issue. But it's a system-level issue that's going to require system-level solutions. And just addressing each of those by themselves in a silo way is not going to solve either. So access to primary care for sure would help and assist emergency department overcrowding, but our upstream and our outflow effects of long-term care, full hospitals that are over capacity, they definitely have a downstream effect to us. It actually doesn't matter sometimes how many care providers we had in an emergency department. That is not going to help with overcrowding when we have system level failures in the nation and access block.
This has been talked about for a very long time. I'm wondering if anything's changed. Are we too fixated on curing rather than preventing?
Well, I think preventative medicine is definitely would help. It would be one of the pillars of keeping a healthy and happy population, a Canadian population. But things have changed in this sense. The Canadian Association of Emergency Physicians spent 2 years writing a document called EM Power by really talented task force leadership within Canada. And they presented that document a year ago at a national forum in May. And it was really well attended by deputy ministers, some ministers, and healthcare leaders across the country. And we're doing the same thing in May with 30 recommendations that could really help the Canadian healthcare system. We don't need more pilot studies. We don't need consultants. We just need to get on with some business.
You have a very busy emergency department. You're on the front line. Do you find yourself carrying the burden of a public that's increasingly frustrated with government healthcare policies, you and your staff having to answer for that perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. Like, we are the face of the system. So we take the emotional and the operational impact of that encounter with patients. Look, Maritimers are some of the most patient people that we know, and Islanders as well, and they get it. They get that it's not the frontline folks that generally are decision makers or have access to push those buttons and levers within the healthcare system, but they're still frustrated. They're seeing us on their worst day.
There's various levels of it around the region, indeed across the country. Do you see island pharmacists expanding the services that they offer at their drugstores?
Yes, our pharmacy colleagues are Allied Health. We have them in our Emerge department during the day. Fantastic resource. Our community pharmacists in the community, sometimes they're the first touch point for healthcare and that interaction with patients. So I support expanded scope for pharmacists working together in a collaborative fashion with other colleges. And I think they're going to be even expanded more on our island with regards to be able to order blood work, similar to other provinces for medications that patients been on for a period of time to manage chronic illness and to look at the effects of those medications.
Look, before I let you go, I have to ask you to swap hats for a second. You're also a trauma physician for the Canadian Armed Forces. We know that the military is expanding, lots of recruiting going on, and I'm wondering if you would recommend the Armed Forces to anybody who may be interested in getting into a medical profession. Is it a good place to start? Is there a way they can work that as well as being in the regular system like you are?
Absolutely. But the Canadian Armed Forces has provided me with training opportunities and leadership, and also exposure to things that medical-wise that I would never have had on Civvy Street, which has augmented my practice in the emergency department. So I encourage anybody that's thinking about it or wants a different path or a different experience, you can consider the reserves, so you can work both as a civilian and a military member, or the Reg Force. A lot of our regular force physicians now work embedded in our civilian hospitals and having cross-pollination of talent and techniques with our civilian colleagues.
Dr. Trevor Jane at the QEH in Charlottetown. Always good to get your insight, your perspective. Thank you. We'll talk to you again.
Great to see you too, Todd. Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more of your local news.
February is Black History Month, recognizing the Black Loyalists in Nova Scotia. The Black Loyalists were people of African descent who fled enslavement in the American colonies, including New York, Virginia, and the Carolinas, during the American Revolution. Beginning in 1783, thousands settled in Nova Scotia, forming some of the largest early free Black communities.
Welcome back. We're on the scene with Katie Kelly. The Halifax Black Film Festival, hard to believe, it's been 10 years already.
Yes, celebrating a big milestone. It showcases films from around the world to local audiences while also helping support the next generation of filmmakers.
The Halifax Black Film Festival is celebrating a major milestone. 10 years of bringing global black stories to local screens. What started small has grown into one of the most anticipated cultural events during African Heritage Month.
And it was one film in one day. That was the first edition. And today we have 30 films from all over the world.
The festival offers audiences a chance to experience powerful stories that aren't always found in mainstream theaters or streaming platforms. And for many filmmakers, it's also a launching pad.
When I got here in 2024, last year, I volunteered at the festival. So now being a part of it, on the other side, not on volunteering side, I'm it's really exciting.
I found these forums of all these women who were trying to stop relaxing their hair and the identity crisis that they went through.
Her short film, Crowned, is making its premiere as part of the Being Black in Halifax program.
The nuances of Afro-textured hair, how women feel about their hair, and perspectives from society about their Afro-textured hair. Personally, I experienced some negativity towards my own hair, and in doing some research, I found that a lot of other Black women experience that as well. So I really wanted to tell that story to give any young girls coming up sort of comfort, knowing that you are enough, your hair is good enough. So I wanted to put that message out there.
And the festival's founder encourages people from all communities to join in.
It is a festival for everybody. And if you are out there and then you're not Black, this festival is particularly for you because it's an opportunity for you. It's a unique opportunity for everybody, especially the non-Black communities to come and dive into realities that they don't see in their history books.
The Halifax Black Film Festival runs February 20th to 24th, both in theaters and online, inviting everyone to celebrate a decade of storytelling and discover voices shaping the future of film.
The audience, there's no festival without audience, and the audience has been coming back in greater numbers every year, and this is priceless. So thank you, everybody. We're all in gratitude this year.
So you can find all of the events, all of the films, all the happenings with the Halifax Black Film Festival on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca.
Okay, boy, was there a lot of excitement in the newsroom today when this was announced. Hey?
Big time, big time. Hilary Duff is bringing her world tour to the Maritimes. And Todd, I don't know if you knew this, but it's not the first time she's been here.
I didn't know that.
Our driver just told us all these facts about Halifax, so I know that it's some big explosion put them on the map, and then it's the burial ground for the Titanic, and,
that's awesome.
And there's all kinds of things that I know about.
Duff has been here a couple of times, including in 2006 when she performed in Moncton, St. John, and Halifax. Duff helped define pop for an entire generation, and soon she'll be back on stage with her new music and her fan favorites. Hilary Duff is hitting the Scotiabank Centre February 7, and she'll be joined by special guest Lauren Spencer-Smith. Tickets go on sale at 10 a.m., and I should say February 7th of next year.
Okay. I loved her when she was Hannah Montana. Somo Festival on the island.
Oh, please don't judge him for that.
Adding some big star power to its main stage lineup in Cavendish.
Yes. Natasha Bedingfield is heading to the island this September. You know who she is. Best known for global anthems like Unwritten and Pocketful of Sunshine, Bedingfield joins a stacked weekend that also features 21 Pilots, Somber, Lawrence, and many more. The festival runs September 11th and 12th, and the full main stage lineup is out now, so you can find that online.
I know who Hilary Duff is. I'm not that big of a dolt. Okay, look, I'm on assignment tomorrow.
Yes.
So we have to do this tonight.
Okay.
You are heading off for some reason.
Yes.
You're going to leave the show for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say that you'll be missed around here.
Thank you so much. I'll miss you too.
I don't know who's going to needle me. I'll still be here, but
I know.
who's going to stand next to me and needle me?
I don't know.
The scene will continue, but it certainly won't look the same without Katie Kelly for the next year, as we wish her luck as she goes on maternity leave, delivers the next generation of entertainment reporter for Atlantic Canada.
Go.
How's that?
Awesome. Thank you, Todd. I'll miss you lots. I'll miss everyone. Find me online. I will be here tomorrow night. Bruce is going to be in for you, I believe, tomorrow night.
Okay.
So we'll do our final goodbye then. But yeah, find me online, and we'll see you in a year.
She'll be around. Here's what's on TV tonight. Maybe this is a night you avoid checking your stocks. The Dow was down nearly 700 points. The parent company of Tim Hortons reported earnings today. Marilla Fernandez of BNN Bloomberg has those.
Sales were up 7.4% at Restaurant Brands, which owns Tim Hortons, Burger King, and Popeyes. The company reported revenue for the quarter of $2.5 billion U.S. But inflation has been a drag for Restaurant Brands. The higher cost of coffee has hit Tim Hortons, and Burger King's paying 20% more for beef. As a result, the renovation of Burger King locations will slow down. Bombardier is reporting a 10% rise in revenue year over year to $9.5 billion. Services revenue came in at an all-time high, and the Canadian aerospace company delivered 157 aircrafts in 2025, 11 more than it did in 2024. Airbnb revenue came in at about $2.8 billion U.S. for its latest quarter. The company is benefiting from increased travel and a new flexible payment plan. The home rental business will also benefit from the Winter Olympics happening in Italy right now. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73.45. West Texas Intermediate is down to 62.65. Western Canadian Select is up to 48.55. And the TSX took a deep dive today, dropping 788 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Kayla Mitchell is outside and he's seeing red. He'll explain why.
Very nice, very nice. What do you do when life gives you snow? You make a giant snow lobster, of course. Take a look at the ingenuity of these Maritimers. This was sent in by Jess and Chris from the Blockhouse region of Nova Scotia. Tad more than a pinch of snow there, I would say. I want to thank Jess and Chris very much for sharing that. Blockhouse for tomorrow. Well, I guess we're going to see how that snow lobster holds up in the sun. It's going to be a sunny day and a high temperature near 0 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow will be a cold start across the Maritime region. Morning temperatures several degrees below the freezing mark. Some down into the minus teens in the province of New Brunswick. Fairly clear though. And there's the sunshine for the afternoon. Bit more of a mix of sun and cloud for Cape Breton and still low chance of a flurry there through the day. Todd.
Kaylin, you should have seen the snow melted butter that was right next to it.
Oh, yeah.
Enormous. All right, thanks. Have a good night. Finally, today marks, get this, 45 years since a remarkable incident that some older St. Johners might recall, the unexpected visit of a cargo tanker, the Opal. Do you remember this? It was February 12th, 1981, when the 6,000-ton vessel ended up on Redhead Beach. A combination of mechanical failure, high winds, and a broken tow line led to the Liberian freighter making its unexpected visit. It became quite a sensation, going viral at a time when, that wasn't a thing. People flocked to the site to marvel at and certainly photograph the Opal. The ship stayed on Redhead Beach for months. After carefully removing the diesel fuel in March of that year, the Opal was finally moved from the beach. It was refloated that May. The MV Opal made its mark on St. John. Yes, 45 years ago today. That is a look at our day here at home and a day quite a while ago. Bruce Frisco is here at 11:30 tonight and again tomorrow at 6 while I'm on assignment. I'm Todd Battis. Have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.